All right, welcome to the Humility Quest. Today, our guest is Brian Anthony. Brian and I, we've actually played rugby together back at West Point, which was awesome, and haven't necessarily kept in touch a lot over the years. And so now that we've actually moved into the same town, we've been able to catch up again, and it's been fantastic. But he lives in Hollywood, or he works out here in Hollywood. He's a co-creator and producer of Brothers on Three, documentary about West Point Army rugby team that took about 4 years and 4.5 years to put together, taking red eyes across the country every weekend. And basically they put it together through sheer willpower. If you haven't had a chance to see it, I absolutely recommend it. It's an amazing show. But with that, welcome, Brian. How you doing?
Thank you. Good to be here, Kevin. I'm doing really well, but appreciate the invite.
Yeah, of course, man. So, clearly you're a writer in Hollywood right now. You've co-produced a nationwide documentary. We played rugby together at West Point and stuff like that. But when you're just out in public, how do you introduce yourself?
I just introduce myself like, hey, my name is Brian Anthony. And if we get into what we're doing, I'm a television writer. That's usually how it goes out here. What do you do? How are you connected to the industry or trying to be connected to it? And then down the line, we usually get into the veteran stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. When it comes to writing and creating stuff, storytelling, when did you kind of figure out that was your thing?
I think it was while I was still in the military. Actually, while I was in the Special Forces course and that pipeline, going through that training. It's very long, it's very difficult. Part of that was during the language course, very intense. You're in class 6 days a week. I had to take Arabic during that time. I graduated in 2001, so just right around 9/11. That obviously colored my military experience from there. But while I was in the language course, I'd missed all these great television shows because I had previously been deployed while I was with 3rd Ranger Battalion. And to get caught up on those TV shows, I got clinically addicted to Netflix back when it was on DVDs. And was catching up on cool TV shows I'd missed. So I was watching CSI and some other shows, but the main one was The Sopranos, and I was blown away by that. And I accidentally hit a special features button on one of the DVDs, and it had an episode with the writer and the director talking over it. And I just had this epiphany. I'm like, wow, these actors don't just show up and spontaneously spew this brilliant stuff. A lot of work goes into it beforehand. Writers, directors, producers. I wrote all these letters, not knowing any better at the time. I got a hold of the agents of writers, directors, and actors on The Sopranos and just said, hey, guys, my name is Brian. It had no purpose. Just hey, what you guys are doing is cool. My name is Brian. I'm in the Army. Thanks. Bye. And about 8 weeks later, I got a phone call from one of the writers, a guy named Terry Winter, who's gone on to have one of the most distinguished careers in Hollywood. He did Wolf of Wall Street. He created Boardwalk Empire and show ran that. A bunch of other stuff he's done. But Terry's like, hey, Brian, I got your letter. And just for the next 2.5 hours, basically gave me his story, his time, gave me advice, sent me some scripts, recommended some books. But it just gave me that much hope that real people actually did it. So that's really the moment that hooked my interest in it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, which is kind of funny, right? Because somebody like infantry went through the selection course to be special forces. That's usually not the stereotypical, I want to be a writer guy.
Yeah, it was for sure. And I think that's the conventional wisdom I probably carried into it. And then once I got out here in television writer, the showrunners, who are the people who are the head writers that kind of run every show, they actually are looking for stuff like that. They want a writer who can be valuable to anything, but as a writer who's 22 years old and has just come out of college, as opposed to somebody who's a little older and has lived a life before they became a writer, I think that just becomes very appealing to those people that hire writers, and I think that's kind of where I fit in. It just gives you a tremendous well to draw from for story and character as far as writing goes.
Yeah, man. Well, in what you're doing, the thing that you love to do is writing, and then the thing that you do as a career is writing. And so it kind of creates this weird trap. Do you ever feel the tension of being able to write for yourself versus having to write for other people? How does that work?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. That is a complicated one. You got to get in the mindset, first of all, that you're always writing for yourself, because you're writing, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to be a writer, because you're doing what you love. But if you can have that mindset going in, you'll always enjoy what you're doing. Two, like when you're writing for other people, let's say professionally, I think it's look at it as a challenge. I'm trying to deliver a product just like I would in any other industry in which the buyer wants. They were interested enough in, purchasing my services. I want to deliver. It's like anybody else taking pride in their job, doing that and then having the flexibility to meet different needs as things change on the ground. The second part of it, writing for yourself and taking time away, is for loved one. I know you and I have talked about that too. It's a separate thing when you talk about writing for yourself. There's only 24 hours in a day. Although I did not have a family when I started, I certainly do now. You have a wife, you have kids, and it could be a very solitary thing. Like, hey, honey, I gotta go to a room by myself for 8 hours and go write about pretend people instead of spending time with you guys. And anything in life, I think there's a balance to find, and it's tricky because you often carry guilt, like, hey, I should be out there with them. And I think you want to accept that, acknowledge those feelings, but the other part of it, and I think this is a mindset approach, is that one, yes, I'm also doing this for you. This is how I pay the bills and put a roof over our head and food in our mouths. But two, I think it took me a while to get to this mindset, but you are also setting an example for, let's say, your kids, about pursuing your passion, about working hard, about persevering, all of that stuff. So even when you're away and not directly with the people you love, you're writing for yourself, you're writing with them, you're probably, whether you realize it or not, giving back in other ways as well.
It's one thing for going to work. I got to go to work. I got to make money, bring food to the table, all those kinds of things. But it's a completely different conversation when I'm just going to go lock myself in the room for a couple hours to spend time with these imaginary people, not making any money by doing it. There's no direct benefit to the family. While you're filming Brothers on 3, taking red eyes back and forth across the country. I think you said something earlier about an earlier conversation, how you missed an entire season baseball team, right? And it's gotta be hard to go through that stuff. But when it comes to your story, how do you feel your kids interpret your story, chasing the things that you love and doing the things that you love?
Yeah, I mean, that part was definitely gut-wrenching, having to do that, having to reconcile that within myself, having to miss my kids. As far as my story, again, I think that's setting the example, and you might not get that payoff, that immediate payoff. My kids are young, they don't understand what the kind of big picture thing is, and this is what I would encourage anyone to do. If you find yourself trapped in that loop about hey, I'm pursuing things that seemingly on the surface are just for me, and they're feeling selfish in that way, is that maybe that's true in the moment. You zoom out to the 150,000, 100,000 foot view for the example you laid out on the rugby thing. The rugby documentary, that's how you and I met. I think you have a responsibility and obligation to give back to something that gave a lot to you and I, which was the Army rugby team. Now, my son's too young to understand that now, but he was going to grow into that. Sean and I have now made a film that's going to outlive all of us. He can go back and watch that, see what it is. Maybe he garners interest in rugby or West Point or the military, or not at all, but he sees what I was willing to do, the sacrifices I was willing to make, and I think that part is important. That's what I was able to zoom out and some of the ways I was able to reconcile it in my own mind. Just looking at the big picture, you got to dig a little deeper than just what's on the surface. Yes, I was gone. Yes, I missed out on his entire baseball thing, but I'm sowing the seeds for something that may pay off later in his life and showing him example. And, it's not like we made a ton of money. We didn't endeavor in that project to make money. It was a passion project for Sean and I, for something that we love, that meant a lot to us, and we had pursued something like it for over a decade. You know what I mean? So there's lessons in perseverance there. It wasn't an easy thing to do. Go in and try to get West Point's approval, DOD's approval, the team's approval, and all those things. But I kind of had this thing where it's look, man, if I didn't do things because they were hard, I would have never left Sacramento. I would have never left my hometown. It's a great place to grow up, but you should, at points in your life, you should lean into those challenges. So those are the things I'm hoping my son takes away. And just for anyone who's kind of on the precipice of pursuing something that they deem in the moment is selfish, but it's a passion they have, I just would encourage them to zoom out and see, okay, what's the bigger picture, and other examples to be set and lessons learned that can be passed on.
Yeah, that's awesome. That guilt was definitely something that kept me from doing anything. The idea of doing something for myself,
sure,
outside of the family, it wasn't even in any realm of reality of something that I would do until a few things happened. But one of the biggest things that helped me through that was thinking about the story that my family was seeing, watching in me, and I was telling them a story like, hey, like if you've got goals, you set like these professional goals, you set a plan to go get them. You don't do anything else until you've achieved that goal, right? Like it doesn't matter if your life sucks, right?
Right.
and that's exactly what I was like modeling. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I tell them that they can do anything, like anything that they want to do, that they can do that. But I'm modeling, that's only something that you tell kids. But like when you grow up, like, it's all the obligations and all the other responsibilities that you take care of. And like you put anything for yourself aside until
Right.
never.
I look, man, I'm not saying I still struggle with it. I think it's like a work in progress. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that like it requires maintenance. It requires care. I don't think you're ever going to be in the perfect mindset. I could always make the argument, whatever, you have kids, you have a partner, you have a friend, family, you're never wrong to be like, I'm going to stay here with them and I'm going to go do something with them. Like that's never wrong. And it's, that's the safe thing. But like, so I just think you need to acknowledge those feelings, acknowledge that guilt, learn how to manage it. Anything else, moderate. I'm trying to think of like another example. Oh, here's another example. I can't remember if we talked about this before, but another writer, another West Point grad, coincidentally, this guy named TJ Brady, who's like a very good friend of mine. He was kind of my mentor out here for television writing. He graduated in '96. And, TJ really got into fly fishing, right? As like a distraction or just something to do outside of writing. He got very, very good at it. So he pulled me in like last year to do it. He's been doing it for years. And just like, I was like, all right, man, he's asked for a while. I'm going to go try to do it. And all those feelings we talked about, they came back. I was like, I'm spending money on gear and stuff, on myself, on doing something that I can. I'm definitely not doing my family because where we're going, it's far away, or the technical skill level is just too difficult for my kids. My wife has little to no interest in it, but we did it. And again, this is, we took a couple trips. We're gone for a couple days, or we'll take almost an entire day and just be gone out fishing. I felt those same feelings. And then what I do, I step back. What's the 100,000 foot view? And it's like this, in this instance, yes, I took that time away for myself, but when my kids get a little older, this is something I can share with them. This is a skill I can pass on and experience, and then we can go do it together. But this is another instance of like, I'm sowing the seeds in the moment. I'm acknowledging the guilt, but I'm sowing the seeds in the moment that this is going to pay off later. I'm going to reap what I'm sowing now with my family later. And just for what I do, and this probably applies to other professions like writing, same guy, TJ Brady, always says like, hey, creative inputs are as important as creative outputs. So for us as writers, you're very focused on like, all right, have I churned out the next script? Have I knocked out the next product, the pitch, whatever you're working on? And I was very focused on outputs. And he was always like, no, the inputs are as important. And a creative input can be anything. That could be going on a date. That could be going to a used car lot. That could be fly fishing. Like it could be anything else. So that's another benefit. And it's just like another way to like really shift your mindset into like a healthier way. Because when you do help yourself, I do believe this, like you are helping those around you. Like, right? You don't want to give what's best for those around you, but like you got to be your best you.
And absolutely. So when you think about like, the others around you, right? Like in your case, it's your family, right? But for other people, it could just be like their friends or, when you take time out to do something for yourself, kind of alluded to it a little bit, but like what would you say is the benefit to your family? Like if you were going to like say it directly.
I mean, it's some of the stuff I talked about before. I'd be like, look, I want you to have the best version of me. To do that, I need to take care and maintain myself. I'm going to go do whatever I'm going to do, and I'm going to bring what I experienced, what I learned, the knowledge. I'm going to bring that back to the family in some facet or form. It might be directly, in the example I gave for like fly fishing. It might be indirectly. I might just come back in a better mood, like refreshed, and like a little more patient. And my family's great. They're all very understanding of that. I just think you need to communicate those needs up front, be clear of what they are, and kind of lay out like how they might fit in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, so ultimately just, it brings a better version of you to them, right? That's like how I would
think
translate
so.
what you were saying there. Yeah. For me, when I was trying to figure all this stuff out, I had no idea what my needs were. I just didn't have a clue. I didn't know what I loved. I had no idea. And it all just kind of like came at me at once. And going back to my family to like tell them like, hey, I'm going to go do this thing. It was a really difficult moment for me, but it's been worth it. It hasn't been easy. It's been a lot of hard work. In fact, I work way harder now than I ever did before I was doing that stuff, because I got so many extra things now that I'm doing. One thing that I'm finding, I can see that it's true for you. The idea is that when I started putting time into doing the things that I love to do, somehow, like, I just found that I had a capacity to do a lot more than I thought I could. Like, with my work, I was like, listen, I got enough energy for work and to, like, be with my family, and that's really about it. But then when I started doing these adventures, like, the first thing I did was scuba diving. I went and got scuba certified and started kind of figuring some things out there. I had way more capacity to do things. It forced me to be more efficient, but it also created this motivation to do it as well. And I'm thinking about you, I mean, like, writing, and you guys have, like, crazy schedules sometimes. Then, like, when you're doing the documentary, you were writing for work, and then you were flying back and forth across the country, plus the family and everything else, right? Like, how does that play out for you?
Yeah, I think you'll always dig deeper. You will find the time. Like, you will manage your time and make time for all that stuff. I think when you get to, like, an elevated place too, you realize there's intangibles about doing what we're talking about, where your loved ones are going to recognize that, whether they do it in the moment or realize it or they can articulate it. Like I said, I have young kids. Like, they're going to see you. Your kids are older. Your kids see you chasing their passions. Whether you guys ever talk about it or not, they see you doing that. And then they see and they probably feel you even more happier when you come back. They feel you and see you fulfilled. And so you are modeling behavior. Whether you are standing right next to them or not, you are modeling behavior that is going to impact on those around you. But yeah, as far as, like, capacity, I feel like it allows you to dig deeper. You're not grinding away kind of soullessly at, like, something else, like trying to check off somebody else's to-do list because it's yours. You can do it at your pace. You're not receiving feedback or whatever was going on, whatever your job is, from other people that you may agree or not agree with, or may dilute your vision or your goal of what you're going for. So I think there's clarity and purpose there as well too. I just think all of that stuff opens up capacity. It makes you a more interesting person. It makes you look at things differently. And yeah, I guess the goal would be, if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. And I do think that's true. If you can find that. That is a very high bar to achieve, but, like, hey, that's what we're all striving for, right?
Yeah. I mean, I still work plenty.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not in a place in my life where I'm never working a day in my life. I like what I do for a living, but that's definitely work. It's not like my art, And so it's cool that you get both of them, and that you still actually write for a living, but you still cut out time to write for yourself too, which I find that very inspiring, especially as a non-writer, because I don't like writing that much.
For us, it's like you got to kind of be like a shark, you know what I mean? If I stop swimming, if I stop moving, if I stop writing, like, I'm going to die, like, literally, like, I got to keep moving. So I think that's, like, the mindset. And then with the rugby doc, like, it was hard, man. Like, it was. That was a passion project. You mentioned all the traveling. Sean and I live out here in California. West Point's obviously New York. We were traveling a lot. We hit many obstacles, funding, approvals, like, all sorts of stuff over those 4 years. And a lot of the payoff really didn't come till after the film came out, or, like, we got to see feedback from actual alumni. When I saw you again in San Diego, the players that were into it. I mean, those are the intangible things that you can never forget. Guys that played before us, and it's like, this is going to live forever. At least there's something out there when I'm worm food, and Sean the same, that is going to, like, hold this up and say, this is what this institution meant to us. And it's a way of giving back, and hopefully I hope it helps the team. So those are all kind of other examples of, like, pursuing that and not getting immediate gratification.
And when I think about, the fact that this really was a passion project in our conversation that we had before, how many times would you say that this project was inches away from, like, being completely derailed and never happening?
Oh, at least half a dozen. Whether, again, it was funding or approval, or it was just like an uphill battle the entire way. You know what I mean? And just that it was
Yeah, and so many of those things were, like, things that were completely out of your control.
Yeah, a lot of them were. I mean, you got to get approval from the Pentagon, from the Department of Defense to do that kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, Sean and I were grads, but, we're not coming in with the backing of a studio. West Point, as you know, is a very wary institution of anything like that. So, like, yeah, I mean, man, grace of God, we narrowly avoided death many times over the last 4.5 years. But we kept it going, and honestly, I think we were probably aided by, like I mentioned before, we had tried in other forms, like scripted content, movies, TV shows, to do it. And that probably hardened us to some some of those obstacles because we just kept going. We plowed ahead kind of blindly on blind faith, and fortunately it worked out and we were able to get the film done.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. So right now, today, on a scale of efficient but empty to genuinely alive, where would you say you lie in that spectrum?
Oh, I'd say I'm like at an 8 or 9, man. I'm just very grateful to be doing what, and again, I'm not going to say 10 because I think you can always improve and like streamline and be more efficient. I'm trying to figure it out like everyone else still, but I'm just very grateful to be doing what I got out of the Army to do, using what the military and my service gave me, you know, to help in my writing career, and then using that writing career in different facets and forms to give back to all those things and be able to provide my family, come back home to my home state and kind of do that. So yeah, man, I'm feeling pretty good.
So for anybody that's watching this, right, just imagine that they're around our age, you know, they're thinking about their responsibilities, they're thinking about their obligations, and they're basically just telling themselves that like right now isn't the time to do something that they love. And they're pushing it off and they're not doing it. What would you say to somebody like that?
One, I would say there's no time like the present, or what are you waiting for? I know that's a little simplified, but we can all get in that mindset to kick that can a little further down the road. I would encourage you to not do it. You know, I'll give you an example for writing, because this happens a lot. Writing's a very time-consuming thing, and people are like, well, I have work, I have kids, I don't have a block of 3 hours, 4 hours a day to sit down there and do that. And I would say, that's fine. Then find 30 minutes, find 15 minutes. I think I told you an example of another writer gave me of a very famous poet named Anne Lamott, who basically said, like, somebody asked her a similar question. She was like, yeah, I always give my employer my second best effort, which meant she had a day job and, you know, she was a poet. I don't think she made a lot of money until she became incredibly successful. But while that was happening, she was rubbing nickels together. She had a day job, and she would wake up at whatever 3 or 4 in the morning and do all of her poetry before she went to work. And then she would be tired going into her day job, but she paid herself first, essentially, in that way. And that's what she meant when she said, give your employer your second best effort. I think there's some stuff that you said, and I would start there with, like, you know, you're like, I wasn't even sure what my needs were. So before you do anything, I would take stock of that, try to figure that out, narrow it down. We all have things that we'd like to do, regrets, things that are on the to-do list for the future. Write them down, man. Make a list, prioritize what those are, what's realistic with time, money, whatever it is, and be able to scrape that out. And then I would say, once you have that list, you know, have that talk. Include the people that you're worried about, that you're inducing that guilt over, whether it's your family, your friends, your kids. Hey, this is what I'm thinking. What can we do? What can we achieve? So they're on board from you from the beginning, and I think you'd be pleasantly surprised, or I hope you would, with the support you would get from your loved ones, your family and friends, and like how they could figure it out. I'm a firm believer in like how you eat an elephant, you know, one bite at a time. So don't be overwhelmed by whatever your goal or your dream is. Dude, take a little baby step, take a bite off, make a plan, make an inclusive plan with those around you, your loved ones, or whatever obligations you have, and figure it out, and just start eating that elephant like one bite at a time. And you can always adjust as you go. Maybe you can take a couple more bigger bites as you get into it. Maybe you need to back off, but I think the hardest part, and this is certainly true for writing and writers, is to like just get the ball rolling. Because once you get that, you'll be pleasantly surprised with the momentum that you can achieve. And if you knocked out whatever 15, 20 minutes a day, add that up over a month, over 30 days, I think you'd be surprised at the impact you could make, you know, and on how far down whatever journey you're trying to do you can accomplish.
I love that, Brian. I don't think that you could have had a better segue into the toolkit that I'm creating for people, which is called the One Experiment Away. If you're feeling efficient but not alive, this toolkit actually takes you through those steps, like just one step at a time, to go and take the first experiment into doing something that you love. All the things that you said it walks you through exactly the things that you were talking about. So that was perfect.
That's awesome, man. Good. Great minds think alike.
Awesome. Well, Brian, it was awesome having you. Thank you so much for coming out. Yeah, actually, I don't know if you have any socials, but if you do, definitely let us know. And then, I don't want to say it, but go ahead and tell us the show that you're actually writing for right now.
Oh yeah. I don't have socials, so I'm sorry to disappoint you there. Thank you very much for having me on. I co-created a show called Bosch Start a Watch, and it's a prequel to Amazon's original show Bosch, based on Michael Connelly's hit novels about Hieronymus Bosch, LAPD detective. So that's what we're working on now.
That's awesome. And where can people watch it? Is that still on Amazon?
It'll be the original series and the spin-off Bosch and Bosch Legacy are on Amazon Prime. Our show will premiere in 2027 on MGM Plus at a date to be determined. So look out for it then.
Awesome. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
thanks, man.
All
Appreciate
right.
you having me on, Kevin. Glad this finally worked out, man. I'm sorry for the runaround.